Hey folks, this is Rose from In Rose's Garden, and today we're going to work on a necklace that I designed some time ago for Bargain Bead Box's Earthen Elegance. Now this is the last of my Earthen Elegance stuff. It will take up every one of the beads. So I think it's going to be really pretty. So let's turn down and we'll get started on it. What we have here is a big pile of beads from the kit, as well as some things that I have added from my own stash, which is namely all of the citrine, isn't it pretty? I'm not much of a yellow person normally, but I love citrine. I think it's such a pretty stone. So here is our citrine, little bits out. So there's all our lovely citrine, quite a pile of it. Then of course we have the red jasper from the kit. In the different sizes, we have some 10s, 8s, and the barrels. Also from the kit are these little, what they called magma. There's those. We have a bail that I've added from my stash for hanging our pendant on, which incidentally is in this bag. We have some spacers that are Saturn spacers. These are from my stash. We have a little piece of extender chain with a lobster claw on the end. I may end up changing that out. We'll see. There is one of our crimp tubes. There should be a couple. Looks like that might be all our Saturns. Then we have some melon beads, which I believe were from the kit. Oh, there's a jump ring that goes up there, and our other crimp tube. Now these spacers here were from the kit. The bead caps, or the melons. I'm actually, to start out with, going to divide everything in half, because the bail is going to be our center point, and from there we're going to have half of the beads on one side and half on the other. So we will just separate these out. Okay, so we'll put this side away with our, this is our stuff for our pendant. Put that to the side, and then we will put those up there. We don't need those quite yet. And we'll sort of design this out. We're going to, of course, start with our bail, and then we'll go with one of the teardrops here, and then a melon, and a magma. Looks like the magma has spacers around it. Then we have another spacer going up to the first 10mm jasper. And it looks like he might have the regular spacers on him, the little flowery type ones. Then we have a Saturn spacer and the barrel bead and a Saturn spacer. Flower bead cap, 8mm flower bead cap. I noticed I had put the wrong beads in here, so I switched those out then from my design. So now we're gonna back at this. Melon. One of these babies. Look how clear that citrine is, and isn't that pretty? So then after those, we want I think it's going to be this. One of these little magma ones again. And then I think we're going to go I think it's one of these other citrines, if I remember right. I think that's too many, so we will go with well, let's just start going up the side here. We'll get some wire out and we will just get going. We'll see how it goes as we go along. I may want to change it up from my design, you never can tell. So we will put a bead stopper on this side. And we will start with our bail, since that is going to be our center point. And then we're just going to string this side, start stringing this side up. We'll start how I have it sat out right here, and then we will see if I want to make any changes to it. Because you never can tell. I might. There is no law that says that your design is law, that it has to stay that way. It does not. You can make anything however you want. And if in making it you go, oh, I don't like that, you can always pull it apart. It works just fine that way. And I really think the citrine really adds to the pattern, to add that extra, that different little bit of color. Babe, go in the hole. There we go. Now I don't know if you noticed, but this is, if you look, this is a pattern right here. See, it goes both sides. Now this citrine feels a little bit tight on the cord, and that's quite possibly that it is, because gemstones frequently are not drilled all the way through from one side at once. They reverse them as they drill them, so that the drill ends up, God, that one's pretty, and it's so clear. I'm going to put that one on first. When they drill them anyway, they drill one side and then they flip it to drill the second side. And generally they're pretty good and make it all the way through, but not all of them are. Sometimes they have a little not quite lined up meeting there, and when that happens, the bead does exactly what that did, and sometimes you have to ream it out, or other times you just have to be careful with it because it wants to go slightly different than what you think it should do. So now we're going to put another one of these magma ones on. And that took from this pattern and took it into this little pattern. So now we're going to put on one of the 10, or I should say 8mm jaspers, then the 8mm citrine, and then we're going to put on one of the big jaspers. Well, after we put on the, where are they? There they are. There's one anyway. Saturn spacer, big jasper, Saturn spacer, citrine, there's a bead cap, and we need a daisy spacer now, and our jasper. So far, isn't that pretty? We're going to go back to this pattern, so we'll be putting on a magma, and it's 2 bead caps. And then these babies again. Now this is the one that was tight before. This one was the one, if you'll recall, that was tight. We can put in on now, or we can put the other one on and put that one on last. But it's going to be on in just a second anyway, because it's the melon spacer, and then this guy again. So in he goes. Now if that's too tight, if you have one that's too tight for your test, you can always get your bead reamer out and give it a tiny little ream. You don't want to give it much though, because let's face it, it's a gemstone, and some, well, you know, some stones are quite sturdy and others will break. But if you do ream it, make sure you get a little water on your bead reamer first so that you don't have a problem with it wanting to break on you. So now we're going to put on the daisy spacers and the last jasper here. Oh, that one has a pretty pattern on it. Daisy spacer. Magma. I seem to be missing a spacer here. I hope not. Actually, yeah, two. But, okay, get that on. Then we're going to put our little teardrops on, and they're going to have the short side facing them, each other, so we'll do it like this. The melon bead goes in now. The other spacer. And the last magma. Now I may or may not have a spacer in the wrong bead cap in the wrong place. Since this is the end, I may have decided not to put one here, and that's my option. So what we're going to do now is put a bead stopper on this side. Move all our beads down since our beads are finished being loaded on for this one side, and move our bead stopper up here. So let's see how long this is going to be on this side. Looks like it's going to be plenty long enough. So that is 11.5 inches there at the middle. So it's going to be at least 22, 23 inches long. So I think that's a good length. Sometimes it's better to have a little longer, but I'm all right with that. So the next thing we want to do is we want to unspool enough wire so that we come up here from here. This is our middle, as you know. Now we want to come up here and get enough wire that we're about the same length as our other side. So that's pretty good. So cut it right here. And that's all the wire we're going to need. So now to do the other side, we want to just simply reverse our pattern from over here so that we're doing exactly the same thing just going down up the other side. So we want to start with one of the little teardrops, face it towards the bail, there we go. Now a melon, the magma, daisy, 10mm jasper, I appear to be missing some daisy spacers. So you even though I would have swore I separated those out evenly. So I need to get me some daisy spacers, and I will be back in just a moment because we only need, I think, probably 2. Actually, maybe only 1. Where it is to here. But one thing I noticed is that I didn't put in my teeny little citrines. So what we're going to do is, since I don't have any more of these bead caps that came with these, I'm going to just simply put a regular flower bead cap on here and then the little citrine. So there it is. Now we're going to put the bead stopper on this side and do the same on this. Put the bead cap and the little citrine. Now let's compare, make sure everything is still looking good. I'm going to move these over some because we have a little more beading wire on this side than the other. So we'll just do there. So there is our beaded portion of our necklace. Isn't that pretty? Now we need to finish off the back and work on the pendant. Now the pendant is not going to be difficult. But we can do the back first if we want to. We do have our crimp tubes out, and here is our extender chain, which we will hook onto the one side. And this lobster will work, but I'm not sure I'm going to use it or not. But let's get our one side crimped. Now you don't have to bring the beads up yet unless you want to, because on this side, because we can roll all the beads back over here. So you'll notice I left this oval jump ring in here when I did this, and that is because it keeps me from pulling it too tight. Now I use the magical crimpers. You put the tube right in the middle of the and just squish down, and then turn it and do exactly the same thing, and just go around in a circle. Give it a tug test. It's pretty good. It made a little bead there. Now we've got to see if we can get these beads through here. If not, or take 2 wires. They may not. Citrines tend to have a little hole, and this one doesn't want to take it. So you've got to make sure it's good and tight, and then take your clippers and roll it right up to where that crimp bead is at, or tube, and squish and cut off as much as you can. So there we go. This side is done. Well, it's done as far as getting the crimp on anyway. Now we've got this side to do. Make sure your beads are all tight and down and no gaps are in here. And then I always just drop it like that so that it doesn't get overly tight and stiff on me. Put the other crimp tube in. Get your jump ring. Put it in. Now, it's unlikely that this wire is going to go through this citrine any more than it did the one prior to it. See, it looks like it wants to start, but not Oh, well, nope, it's not going to go. So just get your crimp tube through just like you normally would. Then hold on to your jump ring while you pull it up. I'm going to want that just a little bit tighter than that, so I'll pull it just a bit more. Compare it to the other side. See how much, see that loop is about the same now. So I'm just going to crimp it right here. But first I want to make sure that my beads, like I say, are all nicely, oops, sorry for bumping the camera, nicely down there where I want them. So then put your crimp tube in the middle of your divot and squish. And go around in that circle till it doesn't want to go anymore. Okay, that's good. So now we want to get our flush cutters up here on this wire as close as we can get to our crimp tube. And clip that off. There we go. Now the beaded portion of our necklace is entirely finished. I have to decide if I want to use this lobster claw or not. I tend to try to get bigger ones than this because even though that's working fine, they tend to be a little small and I don't like small. So what the first thing we want to do though is put our chain on here. So we open this up. And we'll put our extender chain on here. And then close it. Okay. Now this particular piece of extender chain has a round jump ring on it, and I'm going to take that off. And I don't have anything for, I didn't save anything back for a dangle for this, so I'm going to have to decide what I want to do. I'll probably get a citrine out since those were from my stash and put that on the end, maybe a 8mm or one of these other ones, but we'll see. And like I say, I still have to decide. I don't have any big copper lobster claws, but I do have, come on baby, come out of there, rose gold. So maybe I'll just use one of those. Closest thing to copper without being copper, since technically rose gold is part copper. And then we'll just open this side up. And put this jump ring on here, or the lobster claw I should say, and close it up. That jump ring's a little open still. There we go. So there's our beaded portion all done, and now we have to work on the pendant. So let's just put our beaded part, our beaded portion of our necklace aside. That's so pretty. And we will get working on the pendant. And let's open her up and I'll show you what we're going to do here. Here's our pendant piece, and we're going to put one of these little guys in here Now, because of the size, we're going to have to wire it right into there. So let's get this one done first. We'll just put it right on here. Then we'll bend her over. Get our bell making pliers out. Over and around. Drop her down, bring her around, leave her some space because we gotta go inside that ring right here. Now, due to the fact this is a small spot, I'm gonna just pull my pliers in to pull it through, which I just did. Now we have to get hold of it and wrap it. Now this is easier said than done because your chandelier is going to try and get in your way as you wrap it up, as you can see. Okay, so we need to cut this little bit of extra off here. And tuck this wire in here. Oop. Let's see how she's hanging. She's crooked, so I have to straighten her up. Okay, that's not bad now. So there's our little dangle inside the middle of our chandelier. And the next step is for all the little pieces down at the bottom. Well, how we're going to do that is we've got a little bit of chain here. And we have a whole bunch of little pins. And what we're going to do is we're going to take each one of these little citrines and put a melon on top. Then the next one is not having a melon, it's going to have this magma colored one. And then a melon for another citrine. Another magma one. And the other two citrines. So they're all going to go on like that. And they will, of course, jump ring onto our chandelier, but they're not just going to hang from the chandelier. They're going to get a little bit of chain. Now, each one of these is going to get, oh, I think we're going to have at least 3 and then 5. Let's see if I've got enough here. So, I think I got enough to do 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I better get my heavier duty cutters for this. Okay, there's the first 5. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, cut right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How long are you gonna be, dude? I got pee. Okay, then 6. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bing. Back to 7. 6. And let's see how many I got left here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like I pretty much figured it out about perfectly. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now that we've got all these little bits and pieces cut, is we're going to take these little guys, go up the citrine, oh come on citrine, where's your hole, then the melon. Then we're going to wrap this little guy up and hook it to the chain. So, just going to do that with, go right down the line, get those all ready to go. Now, of course, we have this one change where we have the magma instead of the actually the cap is supposed to go below, then the magma, then the melon. Now these little wires are a lot shorter than I normally use, so hopefully they won't give me any problems. So it's looking like I needed one more than I have out, so I will have to go and find another one. Grabbed its chain right up. So I can do one of two things right now. I can go search for another little wire, or we can just start twisting these up. Maybe we'll just start twisting them up. This is one of the few times that I, instead of using my bail making pliers, I am going to use my round nose, and I'm doing that because I want a smaller smaller loop here. Though you just do it more or less the same. Just bring her around. Now, of course, I'm going to put my chain on this one, however. I think it's this one. Oh, come on, I left you open. You should have gone on quite easily. There we go. So now we'll wrap this little guy on. Oop. Come on, you. Come around. Now there's one thing I just noticed, that this melon bead has a big enough hole that it's probably going to slide up over the top of the wraps, and that's all right because gravity will hold it down where we want it. Now we're just going to go down the line and put these onto so what we're going to do is just take these little tiny jump rings, and we're going to go through our chain. And then it will go onto the chandelier and close it up. And so we'll just keep doing that, going up the line like that until we have them all in. But I may start and go frontwards, backwards kind of thing. This is our middle. And so that I don't do them all at once. Do it from side to side, and then the one that I haven't got a wire for yet, I'm going to put it in the middle just in case I can't find any more of these smaller wires. Because if I can't and I have to use a different wire, that's fine because it's going to be in the middle and it won't be as obvious. So let's just get a few of these done and get them onto the, and then as soon as we get to that point where we need to have the middle, then we'll get it. In the meantime, we'll just take care of these. Now we just have to find that wire for this guy and hook it on to the bail of the beaded section. Wire is not quite the same color. It's close, but not quite. But it also is a bit bigger, so it will let me wrap it a little better. In fact, I am debating something. I'll be beading, getting one of those little tiny citrines to go up at the top so that it will give it a teeny bit more length. So I've got a little, well, it's actually an ametrine, but I don't see any purple in it, so I think it'll work just fine. There. Now we'll wrap this little guy up and put him on his chain. Now this little one is going to need to be cut off because the wire was a little longer, even though I added the extra bead to it. Tighten this up. This has a tip backwards, so we want to straighten that up. More. Okay, and now we got to put this last piece on right here, and then we'll bring our beaded section back so we can put the pendant onto it. Oops, no droppy. And there is our pendant finished. Oh, go back down there. Looks like these two are wound together here. Let's get you guys straightened out. So there's the pendant, and now we need to go and get our beaded section back and add it to it. So here's our beaded section. There's our bail. So now we just have to take this jump ring here, open it up, and hook it through the pendant and through the bell. Come on, you, straighten out. So there is our pendant and our necklace. Now the only other thing that if I wanted to do it is to add a dangle to the back of the, come on you guys, straighten up, to the back of here to the extender chain. And I don't know if I want to or not. I usually do because I don't like them just hanging there. But then I have to decide what I'm going to put on the bottom down there. because we do not have any more of our beads left. So if I were to add anything, it would probably just be a little bead here, like another ametrine or something like that. Let's see. Oh, come on, don't lose anything. There's the bags of ametrines. And if I have that one's pretty yellow. That's a cute little guy. It could go on the back there, and it would be just not as big as I normally put something, but it's a nice little dangle there, so no problem. That's a problem. Just a sec, I have to go find that. Okay, so we'll just use our smallest bell and up and around and over, down in this direction. Now we'll just feed it onto the chain. Go on, baby, go on. There we go. And wrap it up. There we go. There's our little dangle on the bottom. It is a little dangle, as you can see, but at least it is a little dangle back there, not just the end of chain. So there we go. There is our necklace all finished. There is the pendant, and then our beaded section, and our little dangle on our extender chain. So that turned out pretty. I like it. I hope you do too. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and this necklace has been made with the very last of our Bargain Bead Box Earthen Elegance kit. I think it turned out really, really pretty. Now the citrines were all out of my stash. I added all those to it. But I really think that little teeny pop of yellow, even though it's a pretty pale yellow with the citrines, really sets off the jasper. So there's the pendant. And then we go up, 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 up till the end. There we go. This has been Rose from In Rose's Garden, and I hope you enjoyed making this with me. Bye-bye.